welcome to YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab, and I have one of my favorite topics to be discussed today. And all of you who know me know that I know that chocolate is a food group. I have the privilege of speaking with Scott Lund, who everyone here on the Monterey Peninsula knows and loves because of his marvelous chocolates. He is the founder of Lulu's Chocolates, and we're here today to learn a little bit more about what got Scott here and where he's going. So welcome to the program, Scott.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you for coming. And I have to say, I gotta love the jacket.
It's my Willy Wonka jacket.
It's your Willy Wonka jacket, and you have completely upped the the dress code here on this program. So thank you for doing that.
This is what I wear when I want to stand out.
Yeah, and you're doing a marvelous job of that.
Thank you.
That's great. So I have known about your company for a long time, but I'll tell you what prompted me to reach out to you most recently is I was at the crossroads, and I saw a woman walking down the crossroads with these two chocolate turkeys this high in her hands, and I said, where did you get those, knowing that they had to have come from your shop? So tell us about those chocolate turkeys.
So we're typically confectioners. We make a lot of chocolates, but at the holidays, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's, and Thanksgiving, we'll do some molded product because some of our patrons want those. Those are actually table decorations that you could break and eat and enjoy with your families.
I was hoping you'd let us eat them. I was getting scared there.
We use a great premium chocolate, and they're made to be eaten, but they're beautiful. The turkeys are beautiful.
They are amazing, and I don't know if you have any left, so I probably shouldn't talk about them too much, but they're quite wonderful.
Talk about them. We could talk about the Santa. We have a 3-foot Santa.
Oh my gosh.
Sell very few of them, but we have smaller ones that are 2 feet tall also, and small ones for the little kids.
Oh. So let's talk chocolate here.
Talk chocolate.
Let's talk chocolate. So what got you started in chocolate?
So I'm a business person by that's what I love. I love businesses.
Right.
And I've owned several businesses. And we were in Salt Lake at the time. I had laundromats, and my wife and I decided we wanted to change, wanted to look for something new. Decided, you know what, let's go back to Carmel.
Because you were raised here.
I was raised here, spent some time here. My parents moved away just before I would have started high school, but I had a chance to go through the middle school and such. Just loved it here. Yeah. And so, okay, now what are we going to do when we move here?
What does one do when one moves to Carmel?
What does one do? And you can't, as your own business person, right?
Right.
And at the time, I was in the laundromat business, and we were thinking about, well, is Carmel big enough, Monterey big enough, for a laundromat business? Because we owned 5 laundromats in Salt Lake, and there's water problems. And it's like, okay, so that's just not going to be for us.
Yeah.
And so then it was, okay, well, what do we want to do? What are we passionate about? And I was passionate about, at that time, about chocolates. I had just learned from my grandmother how to make chocolates, had started giving them to my friends at Christmas time, and they started saying, you need to sell these. Wow. So it was like, okay. Wow. After we were invited to the Olympics, Salt Lake City held the Olympics in 2002. We provided all the chocolate for the governor's opening and closing ceremony parties. And people,
wait. I have to stop you.
I'm sorry, that's not in the bio.
You're interested. Yeah. No, I don't. I love this. So you're running laundromats, you're looking for a business. Grandmother Lula has taught you about chocolate, and all of a sudden you're providing all these chocolates?
Okay, so let's step back.
You are good.
Let's step back.
You are good.
So grandma learned how to make chocolates in 1910, 1911, we believe, from a home economics teacher. She was living in Wyoming at the time.
Okay.
Eventually she decided to get married, moved to Salt Lake. Her husband built her a candy kitchen in her basement where she actually started selling candies and chocolates and confections. Her contemporary was a woman named Mary Sees.
Ah, Mary Sees. Yes,
Yeah.
we've heard of Sees. Yes.
So they were contemporaries, pretty much the same recipes at the time.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
All the same recipes. It's just how you make them.
Sure.
Do you use fresh ingredients? Do you freeze it? What do you do with it?
Right.
So they were contemporaries. In the 70s, when my grandmother ran out of boxes, she was 70 years old, and the city was coming down on her for making candy in her basement. And, hey, if you're going to do that, you need a 3-compartment sink, you need a bathroom, you need all the regulations.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now the cities are a little bit more forgiving on that kind of stuff, and you can have home businesses again. But she actually called me when I was there in her 90s, and she said, Scott, we're not going to make candy for our friends, because she stopped selling it, but we still made it for friends and family.
Sure.
And really, it was an invitation for me to come over and help her
Right.
and my uncle make candy.
Right.
And so that's how I learned how to make candy. And so I would go over every year at the day after Thanksgiving, and we would make candy for a week, then we'd box it, and then we'd give it out, and by December 15th, it was gone.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So, and it's the same stuff we use now, but I just loved it. And then eventually she got worried about what was going to happen to her candy equipment, what was going to happen to her candy basement.
Right.
And so I got permission from my father and my 2 aunts to buy all the equipment and put it in storage. So that's what I did.
So what year approximately would this have been? Just
So
approximately.
about 96.
Oh, okay. So a long time ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
96, 97.
All right.
And then I was making it for my friends in my kitchen, not in a basement kitchen, but in my kitchen.
Right.
And one of the friends that I would give it to worked for the governor.
Oh.
And that's how, so I got that invitation to make it. And so we brought some of the candy equipment out of storage and used it to make a whole bunch of candy, because we made tons of candy for weeks on weeks, and because there were big parties. And we were very well received. My wonderful wife said, hey, candy is great when it's free, but try selling it.
Gotta love these wives.
And so, but we sold some of it while we were in Utah, and then again fast forward, it's like, where do we want to live? What do we want to do? And it's like, I enjoy making candy. People tell me I make really good candy.
Right.
And we just have to separate ourselves from C's and other people.
Yes.
And charge what it really costs to make the candy.
Right.
So if we're going to make a premium gift chocolate,
Right.
we're going to have to charge premium prices.
Right. Because you use premium ingredients and you pay premium prices.
Exactly.
It's pretty simple.
And it's all handmade.
Okay. Talk
So,
about that.
well, Grandma, she had the recipes that were 100 years old. So she didn't know anything about preservatives. She didn't know anything about freezing and thawing and stuff like that. So it's all fresh. Very short shelf life, all hand done. Now, we use equipment that helps us, but there are people, Oompa Loompas, right?
Yeah,
that are actually making it.
I was hoping you had those.
And we're making it by hand. But fast forward, we moved here. We actually moved here a couple of years before we started the Candy Kitchen, so my daughter could go through high school at Carmel, Carmel High, and graduate from Carmel High without transferring in the middle of the year.
Right.
I unwound all my businesses in Utah, and then we opened Lula's in 2006. Really, that was our first year of production, 2006.
Right. So you are very, very generous to the community, and I so appreciate that. That speaks to my heart. So where did that spirit come from, and what are some of the things that you care about?
So, well, I'm a Boy Scout. And I've always learned, I've always thought, hey, let's do a good turn daily and always give.
Yes.
And when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a philanthropist. Didn't know really what it meant, but I wanted to be a philanthropist.
That's impressive, Scott.
And I learned, though, in order to be a really good philanthropist, you have to make money.
There is that.
You can donate your time, and then you can donate money.
Right.
And money sometimes goes a lot further.
Yeah.
And so what we do at Lula's, even when we were losing money, and we lost money the first 5 years, we didn't really we didn't turn anyone down, really. And we don't promote ourselves very much.
Right.
But
no, I know
if someone comes to us and says, hey, I need something, we're going to give them something. It may not be what they want.
Right.
So we have our favorite charities, Kinship Center and some other ones, where we'll give chocolate.
Right.
But to everyone, we pretty much will give a gift certificate or something that they can auction off.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
So I learned early on, don't decide which charities are worthwhile and which ones are not. So if
they're all worthwhile.
If the PTA comes to us, we'll do it. If the military wives comes to us, we're going to do it. We don't decide. We don't discriminate at all.
Yes.
So do I have favorite charities? Yes. Do I want to talk about them? No.
Yeah.
But
I got it.
we pretty much donate to everybody.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Not
So
necessarily what they want, but something.
So how much do you think that attitude and that willingness has informed your success?
Oh, we don't do it as marketing.
No, I'm not talking about that.
But you'd be surprised how many people come and say, "Hey, I saw
Right.
I saw this
Yeah.
gift card, I saw this gift certificate,
Right.
and people want to know that they're contributing
Right.
and they're giving back.
Right.
And we sell in a lot of places besides Monterey and besides Carmel, and we try and donate in those those areas also.
Right.
But it was great at getting the word out originally,
Sure.
and back then we would do a lot more chocolate.
Uh-huh.
So we would actually contribute chocolate,
Right.
and people would say, well, do you want to put a sign there? And we've gotten to the point where we don't even put our name on the chocolates that we donate
Right.
because everyone understands
Exactly.
that, hey, this is Lula's. I know what the sea salt
Right.
caramels look like.
Oh,
Those
yes,
are
and
Lula's.
thank goodness we know what those taste like too.
And so we don't use it as marketing anymore. Although people say, do you want to be in our flyer? Do you want to be in our brochure? Do you know? It's like, no, we don't need to.
Yeah, you don't
we're
need
just
to.
there.
Well, for me, I think what I'm speaking to is the same thing. It's the energy of that you're giving out, and you're doing it for the right reasons. It's to give, and it comes back. So you are expanding. I know that you're doing an exciting pop-up store at Del Monte Center.
So we are doing a pop-up store, and this is like a month ago we decided to do it. We were invited. Our designer said, why don't we do a pop-up at Del Monte? And typically when someone gives me a suggestion,
Yeah.
like my mother, she'll say, why don't you do this? I'll say, why don't you follow up with that? Just let me know how
Let me know how that works
yeah,
out.
because I get a lot of suggestions.
Oh, I bet you do.
And I can't do all of them.
Yeah.
But to the designer, Sarah, I said, why don't you follow through with that, see if you can find us
Sure.
a spot. And she did, and she got us a spot, and it's been great, and look forward to it. We're opening it in theory tomorrow,
Right.
Which was after this is aired,
Yep.
right?
So you'll
And
be open.
We'll be open,
Right.
and it's always great because Christmas is the chocolate holiday.
Christmas, well,
Christmas is the chocolate holiday.
any holiday, any day's chocolate day for me, but
Well, but
that's
it's not
just
like
me.
Valentine's Day. A lot of people think Valentine's, it starts, the 13th and ends the
Yeah?
14th because
No.
men wait till the last
Well,
minute.
there is.
Yeah.
There's that little fact.
But Christmas actually starts the day after Thanksgiving, and it runs
Interesting.
through New Year's.
Interesting.
Because it's totally appropriate for you to bring chocolates to your friends,
Sure.
your neighbors, after Christmas.
Sure, and I accept chocolates all the time.
There you go.
Yeah. So, in terms of cycles of chocolate and the liquor, and talk to us just for a minute about some of the ingredients and the processes.
About chocolate specifically?
Right.
So, cocoa beans come in cocoa pods, and they're
Mm-hmm.
grown mostly 5 to 10 degrees north and south of the equator.
So right on that narrow band.
Right on that narrow band.
Ah,
So
okay.
it would go through Venezuela,
Right.
Trinidad, Mexico. Off of that, Hawaii actually is starting to produce some,
I've
and
heard that.
they're not plus or minus 10 degrees of the
Okay.
equator.
Okay.
Most of it's grown in Ivory Coast. Most of
Mm-hmm.
it's in Ivory Coast, Ghana. 70% of the world's chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
So the chocolate's grown in country. It's fermented in country, which
Right.
means they basically scoop the seeds out of the pod, they pour it on the ground, they ferment it, which basically they allow it to sit over a week or so.
Uh-huh.
That kills the germ because it's a seed.
Right, right.
Not the germs like bugs, but
Right, but the germ of the-
the germ of the seed.
Okay.
And then they lay it out flat, allow it to dry. That's a drying process.
Mm-hmm.
In country, they would then sort it, bag it, put it in burlap sacks, and they would send it to Switzerland or send it to Belgium, and that's where it becomes Belgian chocolate.
Okay.
So they don't grow the chocolate in
Right, of
Belgium
course.
and Switzerland, but they do process it there. Most of the processing that we do in the United States is in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Although there's some nice companies in California that do it. We don't make chocolate. We make chocolates.
Ah, important distinction. Yeah.
Chocolate is our
Yeah.
number one ingredient,
Right.
but we don't make chocolates. Chocolate manufacturing is generally what you call a commodity business.
Of course.
So it's huge, and yeah, there's some very small players, but most people buy their chocolate from others.
So Scott, when you talk about premium chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
what does that actually mean?
So most chocolate manufacturers make a premium line, and then they make a nice line, and then they make an affordable line.
Right.
So if you look at Hershey's,
Uh-huh.
and I like Hershey's,
Sure,
I wish I owned the company.
I do too.
They
well, I
buy-
wish I did not.
some of their premium chocolate you would never recognize as theirs. So they
Right.
own Dagoba,
Right.
and they own Scharfenberger, and they own some of the really premium
Right,
chocolates.
right.
And then they have the stuff that we use at the beach for campfires
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So most manufacturers make premium chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Guittard, which is in California, makes E-Guittard, which is a premium chocolate, and then they make some chocolate chips
Right.
that are very affordable.
Right.
Let's just say affordable.
Right, affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So most manufacturers know how to make premium. What is premium? First of all, you use the right beans.
Okay.
The beans have been, fermented properly. They've been dried properly, so there's no mold. They've been roasted in, here in the United States properly to bring out the flavor. They've blended. So a lot of it, you think of wine and what makes a good wine. Same type of thing.
Yeah.
Good grapes, good, good fermentation and stuff like that. And then the processing of the bean is going to have a lot to do with the quality. So how smooth is it? How creamy is it? Have they used the right milk products? If it's a milk chocolate, and then just to taste.
Right.
So, but the chocolate we use is premium. Costs more. My dad would say it only takes costs a nickel more to go first class. And so we buy the really good stuff.
Oh, excellent.
And it's got a great Swiss flavor, although it's now made in the United States.
Oh, interesting.
So that's
you've
probably
had some
difference.
real successes. You mentioned the sea salt caramel. Was that a recipe that was Lula's recipe, or did that come along with time?
So yes and no.
Okay.
So grandmother has a great caramel recipe.
Okay.
And she makes great caramel and great toffee. And those are like sisters.
Right.
Right. Toffee and caramel. So we use her great caramel recipe. The salt was added, 15 years ago to the mix by the French. They started adding the fleur de sel.
Oh, those French.
And then there's a company in Seattle that's been doing it 1 year longer than we have. And there's a gray sea salt or a smoked sea salt.
Right.
But what makes our caramels different is we use a nice soft caramel, and then we use different flavored salts.
Oh, interesting.
And then we only do them in dark chocolate.
Oh, interesting.
I know.
Yeah,
So
and dark chocolate is good for you.
all chocolate's good for you.
Thank you. This is why I like this
In
man.
moderation. So my
moderation.
grandmother, Lula, who we named it after, lived to be 99.
Well, see.
And she only ate milk chocolate.
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So,
well, good. Well,
but every day.
Yeah, well,
Every
I have
day.
chocolate every day, and I do sneak in a milk chocolate.
There you go. It depends. So milk chocolate and toffee are fabulous.
Yeah.
Milk chocolate and caramel are great.
Yeah.
But if you're going to sprinkle salt on it, the salt's going to bring out the caramel flavor.
Right.
And so if you did it in milk chocolate, it would be too sweet.
Right.
So you really want it in dark chocolate.
So this is very well thought out and considered.
No, it's all about taste.
It's all about taste.
It's all about taste.
Scott, we just have a second here. Tell us how our viewing audience can reach you and find you. Where can they find you?
So we still have our factory on Rhine Ranch,
Yep.
which is the best place to go if you know what exactly you want. Because
Sure.
we'll make a box, you can see the factory. We still give factory tours.
Great.
That's a great place. The Crossroads, we're still there after almost 10 years.
Yep.
We're still on Mission Street in Carmel, downtown Carmel.
Yeah.
Love those two places. If you're watching it now before Christmas, go out to the Del Monte Center.
Wonderful.
Perfect. If none of those places are convenient, then go buy it at Whole Foods.
There we go.
Or go buy it at Bruno's or Nielsen's or any number of. We have 40 retailers here
Marvelous.
in the peninsula that sell it. So.
Oh, Scott, thank you. This has been a pleasure.
It has been
I can't
fun.
wait to go and have a taste of that box that you brought me.
Thank you.
You've been watching Your Town television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab. Thank you for joining us.